Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about your x and y intercepts for a sec on a graph. We did those back in chapter 5, I believe. So what do we know the x value is when we're looking for the y-intercept? 0. And what do we know the y value is when we're looking for the x-intercept?
2.
Also 0. Okay. So if we were to look at this graph right here. Okay. So
Is this 6.4?
yeah, page 17.
6.4?
Yeah.
Alright,
All right. Okay, so what kind of slope do I have here? Do I have a positive slope or a negative slope? Positive slope or a negative slope? Positive. Okay, so a positive slope, my line's going to rise to the right. I don't know what the slope is. Okay, sit. No. We've started the lesson, and you need to get these notes down. Rahat, get your book out.
Get your book out, man.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about our x-intercept. This is the location of our x-intercept. And we did this all in chapter 5. So that would be the x-intercept. So that's where the graph is going to cross the x-axis. What do we know about the y value at this point? What's the y value at this point? Zero. We just went through this. Thank you for catching on. So we know that we don't know what the x is at this point because I don't have any increments on here, but we know when we're looking for the x-intercept, the y value is 0. Got it? So this one here is your y-intercept. And so again, we know that the y value is something. I don't have any increments on, so we don't know exactly what it is. But what's the x value here? 0. Okay, so that's really, really important that you know those two things when solving for the x and y intercept. Okay, we can dive into today's notes for these. Pardon? You're in grade 10. I don't know what to tell you. If you two can't keep your hands to yourselves, I don't teach kindergarten for a reason. It wouldn't be good. Okay, Bobby purchased and downloaded 3 songs. Each subsequent day, so every day after, he downloads 2 additional songs. Which graph represents his situation? And here's a big thing. This was on quiz number 1. So explain, you got to use words to tell me why, but we're just going to use our words. We're not going to write them down. We're going to speak them. Okay. So Bobby purchased and downloaded 3 songs. And then every day after, he downloaded 2 more. Which graph represents his situation? Steve? Graph B. How come graph B? Okay, so it starts. So when time is 0, so this court, maybe I'll just... And how come the dots aren't connected?
Because they're not linear.
Well, they are linear because they're in a straight line.
They are. It's something to do with 3 lessons ago.
not 3 lessons ago, but like 3 units ago. Yeah, we talked about it. Can't have a partial amount because we can't download half a song, right?
Well, technically, you can download.
But are you going to get charged for half a song?
Yeah.
No, you'll get charged for the whole song.
But where is it doing that?
Pardon?
Where is it doing that?
No, it's not. That's why we don't connect the points. If we could pay for half of a song, we'd connect them. But we can't.
Is this called discrete?
This is called discrete data.
Good job, Rahat.
Okay, so then Steve says, so it increases by 2 every day. So at day 1, if I started at 3, I should be at 5 songs. So this one would be 1 and 5. And then on day 2, I should be at 7. And then on day 3, I should be at 9 songs. So the difference between graph A, so B is the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen. B is the correct answer, just in case we didn't get that. What's happening in A? Yes, you started at 3 songs, so that's good. It starts at the same point. But at one day, how many songs did we add to it? 1. So this one would be 1 day, but we're only at 4 songs. So that's not going up by enough. He's not downloading 2 songs per day. So this is 1 song per day. So that's what the problem is with graph A. Let's talk about graph C for a second. What's wrong with graph C? It starts at 0. It starts at no songs. And it does go up by 2, like the slope is going up by 2, but its start point isn't correct. So this one has the correct start point, and it has the correct rate of change. And rate of change is just another way of saying slope. So maybe we should write that down somewhere. Rate of change is the same thing as slope. And we know that is rise over run. We know that there's a formula to go with it as well. And I think I posted, did I post Friday's video, Rahat? Did you watch the video?
No.
You just copy? Okay, I didn't post it? Okay, I will put it up.
Please upload the videos right after. Probably like helps because I try every.
Did you email me?
I texted me and
Okay. Okay. All right. Example here. Graph of a bicycle journey. So let's look at what's on the X and what's on the Y. So on the X-axis, we have time. And on the Y-axis, we have distance. So our slope, and this says, sorry, that got tucked in behind there. What does the slope of the line represent? That's what that question says. All right. What does the vertical intercept? So vertical, which way does that go? Is that up, down, or? So it's up, down. So the vertical intercept is another way of saying the y-intercept. And the reason sometimes so we don't call it the y-intercept is because this axis could be named something else. It could be named distance. It could be the d-axis here. So what does the vertical intercept represent? Not speed. It's definitely the start point because time is at 0 here. Okay, distance where? Distance away from home. So is this journey starting at home? No, because they would be at 0, 0 if they were starting at home, right? So the y-intercept represents okay, and where would that be? How far away from home is this person when they start their journey? How far away from home are they when they start the journey? 10 kilometers.
So that's halfway to Plain Lake. Because Thompson is like literally 2 kilometers. Like all the way from like the ski club to Wappanock.
The ski hill or walking.
For the ski club.
I'll just say that you guys need to go for a run if you think Thompson's small.
Yeah.
Go out for a run. I mean, we are a smaller town, but we're definitely not too tiny. Okay. So then the next question is, what does the slope represent? So maybe let's go ahead and calculate slope, because I think that's the easier thing to do. So what is our slope equal to? I'm just going to do rise over run. We have a pretty picture here. So we can probably do it just from the picture. Is it going to be a positive slope, or is it going to be a negative slope? Positive. Because it's going, the line's going up to the right side. Jess, do you know what the slope is? Did you figure out the slope?
I have it.
Rahat, what is it?
20 kilometers per hour.
Okay, do we agree with them?
No?
I would agree with them too. So I'm going to look at this point, my start point, and then I'm going to look at this point right here. I could have picked, oh, sorry guys, can't see that. I could have picked any 2 points on the line. Any 2 points would get me the same answer. So how much do I have to rise to get to my next point? So I was at 10 and I'm going to 30, so how high is that? 20, that's 20 kilometers. And then I'm going 1 unit to the right, so that's over 1 kilometer per hour. Maybe that's a little bit more helpful to you when I ask, what does the slope represent? What if I wrote it like this? No, maybe that's... If I write it like that, what does the slope represent? How many kilometers per hour? What do we call that often? If I'm giving you a kilometer per hour, what are we measuring usually? Speed. Because it's distance over time.
So then how hot you are, right?
All these weird sounds.
Then fast you are, hotter you are, right?
I'm not a... Just... No.
Just say the warmer you are. Yeah, warmer.
Weird sounds.
Do you know you watching the game?
Yeah, I was recording. I listened to some. Who the song? Like some drop for you. That was better than the moment.
Okay. Oh dear.
It's true they won't want
No, you should also have games.
we'll get 2 overtime game 7 yesterday.
No, I'm not transfer you. Miss Thompson's box.
Can't believe the Penguins
You
lost.
can go on to the scale.
It's the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, let's speak about now.
Okay. Are we good? Can I flip the page? All right, so we're going to put some stuff together. We're going to put some stuff together. Slope-intercept form. Jonah, do I have to move you as well?
No, you don't. Yes, what you need.
Guys, there's too much oil.
Oh my god. This was horrible.
Guys.
All right, so there is, okay. So there's a format that we use to create an equation of a linear line. Arun? So it's called slope-intercept because it has the slope in it, and it also contains the y-intercept. So obviously the m, we've worked with m before, that we put the slope in there. These are your two variables that stay the same. They're like locked in place. They don't move, so they stay locked in those positions. Slope gets times by the independent variable, which is often the x, and the b represents the y-intercept. Okay? So in a situation like this one's a little bit difficult because that's my y-intercept, but maybe it's at like 1.5, maybe it's at 1 2/3. Like sometimes it's kind of hard to read, and we're going to deal with that. Is that not tomorrow? That's Wednesday. We're going to deal with that for slope point. Okay. So which equation below is written in slope-intercept form? Right here. Slope-intercept. Who? What? Which one? A. Okay. A is correct. So
M equals to the
okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's look at this form. So we have our independent. So our independent variable is here. Our dependent variable is what it's equal to. So our dependent variable is what it's equal to. What is the slope of this line? What's the slope of this line? 2 divided by 3. So the slope is the number that we multiply the x by. So that's going to be 2 over 3. And what is the y-intercept?
6.
The y-intercept is at 6. And what would the y-intercept be given as a coordinate pair? 0, 6. So you could write it this way, where you say y-intercept colon and then it's 6, or you could give it as the coordinate pair. Both of those would be fine. All right. I want you to write the equation of this line using slope-intercept form. So what's step 1 you need?
y.
Okay, slope or your y-intercept. You're going to need both of them. So what's our y-intercept?
60.
0, 60. So there's our y-intercept right there, and that occurs at 0 and 60. Next part, we need to find our slope. So you could do rise over run, or you could do the formula.
Isn't you put y over 1?
Oh,
Oh my.
oh my goodness.
It's
It's good.
not like he wasn't paying attention, we wouldn't have solved this problem.
You're right. We would have been lost forever.
You wouldn't have never found
We would have just been here all day.
the room.
It's gonna drop it. Well, Jonah's gonna do the math.
On that, do I have?
I respect
Do I have?
I have to.
spelling, you speak
Yeah, that's very well.
This is so confusing. Tell me what he said.
I don't know what he said. Oh, we don't say that. That's a bad swear word.
Is it a swear word?
Yeah, like it's like a Quebec, like
What is it?
slang.
No,
No, he's not wrong.
What's the French word? Wait, for what?
Okay, we're gonna stop swearing in my class in foreign languages, please and thank you. But I know what it means. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna pick that point. We don't necessarily need that point. I just picked that one. Which one did you pick, Jonah? We're finding the slope, bud.
See, if you would stop swearing in foreign languages,
It is a true story.
if you would
Okay, Jonah,
I don't want to work.
Yeah, we can't love the silver. You got a fresh cut.
you want me to sign that page?
Shoot. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna use the formula. Hi. I'm gonna use the formula because I think it's good to have some practice in that. So I'm gonna use the coordinate pairs. So this one I'm gonna label as x2, y2, and this one x1, y1.
That's all we're gonna do.
Yeah, this is it for today. It's not hard.
Pretty easy.
Yep.
No, don't say that word in this class, right?
Any class.
But if they don't understand me, it's true. It doesn't mean nothing.
It's still not super respectful to do that.
I can't say that it means you're cool today.
But then they're gonna start using that, and it's not gonna be appropriate.
How about like create? Wait, yeah, what does like create mean?
Okay.
It means you suck.
For real?
All right. So most importantly, you have to reduce your fractions. You don't want to leave it as 40 over 200. That's a really big number when it can be reduced to 1/5. Okay, so we are not finished yet. We got to put it together in the formula. So we're putting it together. This has a label of D, and I'm going to assume that this one has a label of C up here. Okay, so I'm not using X and Y, I'm using the letters that are on the axes. Okay, so it should be Y equals MX plus B, that's the format. So what's Y on this graph?
Y equals 1.
No, no. What letter is it? Is it C or D?
C.
C. So C equals, what comes next?
60.
Nope.
0, 60.
Nope.
60, comma.
1 over 5,
1
thanks.
over 5.
1/5.
And then what letter?
C.
D.
D.
What? No.
And
No,
then,
no.
It is wrong, man. It's letter boy on that.
Wait. I believe.
okay, guys, like, I appreciate that you're all very passionate about this, but we have a lot of different things going on. So we just talked about switching the variables, and this is the general format, but this graph labeled its x-axis as the D and its y-axis as the c-axis. So we have to change the letters in the equation. So remember that your dependent and your independent variable get locked into place. They will always be letters.
Really? No, I'm going to do that thing.
Sure. I'm not even done this one. And so your M and your B will be replaced with numbers. So your M and your B are going to be replaced with numbers, and your Y and your X will always be letters. Okay? So this one's going to be plus 60 because this crosses at a positive 60. If it was a negative 60, I would change that to a subtract 60. Okay? So this is the equation to that graph. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to end up taking your phones because, like, it's very distracting for me.
I'm not on my phone. You know, this one, I feel like that's right.
That is distracting.
Okay, Arun, put yours on my desk. Lead the charge.
You have nothing about being distracted.
Show her your recent calls or if you want to be some distracted.
Perfect. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, put it facing down.
Okay. So let's keep going. There's more. There's lots more.
You just lied though, you little dude.
Okay. Okay, we got more to do. We got 2 more pages. Well, let's hope we get through it. So if we could just stop being distracted, that would, like, they're really not that difficult. Okay, so the graph of a linear function has a slope of 3 over 5 and a y-intercept of 4. Create an equation for this function. You can do this. Sure, what's your question?
What are the variables? Like the levels and variables?
If we don't know, if it's not given to us, we always use x and y.
I got it.
Okay, good. Okay, Arun, you got this? Try it.
No, I've tried it like a month off.
Okay. Did you get it, Stephen? I'm going to say it's good.
Let's see Chelsea.
Wow.
Did you get it?
Yes.
No.
Let's go.
Oh my god, man.
So 3 over 5.
Steve, stop being mean. That's great.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen, please stop. Okay, I'm going to start asking people to leave if you guys can't be nice to each other. Because it's not fair. Like, we're just trying to get through this. Like, it's pretty basic stuff, but if we're always being interrupted, it doesn't work. So I'm just going to start asking people to leave because this is just, like, we've got 2 more pages to do and it takes us 9 hours because we're doing everything else but math. Jonah.
I'm gonna get here. You're being distracted.
Okay, so now I've given you the equation and I want you to graph based on the equation. Now you could create a table of values and that's a possibility, but you can also do a different way as well. So this is your slope, that's your y-intercept. So the first thing we do is we plot our y-intercept. Okay? So I'm going to assume that every second one, 'cause these are really tiny. I just decided. Living on the edge. True story. Okay, I put my increments on there. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my y-intercept. So that is going to be right on the y-axis at 3. So step 1, plot your y-intercept. Step 2 is we're going to use our slope to kind of be the roadmap. We've done this before. So if our slope is 1 over 2, that means we're going up 1 and we're going right 2 units. So I'm going to start at my y-intercept. I'm going to go up 1 and then I'm going to go over 2 units, which would be my next point. And then I'm going to repeat that pattern. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up 1 and I'm going to go over 2. Now that's only 3 points on the line and that's fine. That'll give me a good a good idea of what it is. You could also go -1 and -2, because we know a -1 divided by a -2 will also give us a positive for an answer. So this would be 1 down and 2 to the left. So if we go start at the y-intercept, we go 1 down, and then we go 2 to the left, right here. And then you can keep following that pattern. So you can do those things, and then you're going to take your handy dandy ruler, and you're going to connect the dots, and this should be a straight line.
So the denominator is always the slope?
The denominator, no.
Or is it the fraction?
It's the whole fraction. It's the number in front of the x. It's that coefficient in front of the x. Okay. You guys can do this next one. Write the equation of this graph. You can do it. What kind of slope are you anticipating? A positive or a negative?
Negative.
I hope you're anticipating a negative slope because it's falling to the right-hand side this time. So it's going down.
Negative.
What is fx? See that below.
F of x is function. We've done function notation. You were here for this. So that means that for every x value, there is a unique y value. They don't repeat back on itself. Remember linear or the vertical line test?
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of. Okay, where's my y-intercept, ladies and gentlemen? Where does the line cross the y-axis? -4. So you've just found your b value. So y equals mx plus b. So that's the format we're using. That's the type that we're using. So now I got to find my slope. So I'm going to go down 3. So down is a -3. And then I'm going to go 1, 2 to the right. So that's going to be a +2. So if you can do those two things, you can put it in the equation.
How is it minus b2? Like the slope?
So I looked at this point. Sorry, Rahat. I looked at this point here, Rahat.
Oh,
And I looked at this point and I said, okay, well, if I start here, I got to go down 2. Or sorry, I got to go down 3. So 1, 2, 3 to get to my next point. And then I got to go 2 to the right. So down is negative, up is positive, right is positive, left is negative. So because I traveled right, it's positive. Yeah? Oh, sorry, you can't see that somewhere. There it is. So up is positive, down's negative. So these two have to deal with the y. And then these two have to deal with your horizontal or your x values. Okay, so now we're just going to put it all together. So this is going to be y equals a negative 3 over 2 times by x, subtract 4. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, let's try to get through these last 4 examples. Okay, student council sponsored a dance. The tickets cost $5 and the cost for the DJ was $30.
Did we like this kind of stuff before?
Yeah, we did. Okay, because it's all the exact same stuff. It's just a different way of doing it. So if no one attends the dance, if 0 people attend the dance, how much do I still have to pay the DJ? 300. So no matter if anybody comes, I still got to pay the DJ for his time. So that's the y-intercept. Because the cost of the ticket changes per person. So this would be my slope. So this would be $5 for every 1 person. So if 10 people came, how much would I make from tickets? I'd make $50, right? Okay, but let's talk about, so now let's talk about this in concepts here. We're talking about profit, so how much money I'm going to make. So is this a positive 300 or is this a negative 300? If I'm talking how much money I'm going to make. It's a negative because it's costs I have to spend. If nobody comes, I have no money I've collected, but I still have to pay them $300. So this is actually going to turn to a negative in this context. Okay, so knowing that, can you put it together with P dollars for the sale of T tickets? So it's telling me what my X and Y are. So what's P? Is that on my Y-axis or on my X-axis? Your Y-axis. This is that independent, dependent variable thing. The number of tickets, the profit depends on the number of tickets we sell. So it's like we're pulling all this stuff together. So P is equal to, what's my slope? 5 over 1. Can I just write 5? Is everybody okay with that? But you guys know that it's 5 over 1 if we need to use it for something else. And then that's per ticket minus $300. So we should be going up, right? Okay, suppose 123 people bought tickets. What was the profit? So where does the 123 go in? Does it go in for P or does it go in for T? T. T. And what's the operation between the 5 and the T? Multiplication. So we've got P equals 5 times 123 minus 300. Order of operations tells me I got to do that multiplying first. So that's $615 minus the $300 I have to spend on the DJ. So what's the profit here? 315 what? Rupees?
$1.
Thanks. It is a form of currency. Isn't it from India?
Yeah.
He doesn't buy anything. You've never been to India?
I've only been there once, but my parents were like, "You're gonna go outside. Some dude is gonna kill you." And we just went to like school and back. No.
I was born here, but I wanted it.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the profit is $350, and we need to figure out how many people bought tickets. So where do we put the $350 in? For which letter? P or T? P. So this is going to be 350 equals 5 times T minus 300. So I need to get the letter T, Jonah, by itself. Do you want to put your phone down, Jonah? Because you're...
I was like on the computer.
Sure.
So disrespectful.
Okay. So now what am I going to do here? I need to get T by itself. So I'm going to get rid of that 300 first. So I'm going to add 300 to both sides. So I have 650 equals 5T. What do I do now? Divide by 5. So how many tickets did we sell?
You have sold equals 213 130 tickets.
What?
130 tickets.
We're getting simple.
What?
Wait, because 65 divided by 5 equals to 13. Right?
100, thanks.
I said 130, right?
No.
You said like 10 numbers.
Yeah, you did say a lot of numbers altogether, and I was very confused.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we sold 130 tickets, and I need to put my units of measure in there. Could your profit be exactly 146? Justify your answer. So let's do the math. 146 equals 5T, oh, put T in there twice, minus 300. So I'm going to add 300 to both sides. So I have 446 equals 5T. I don't think I need to go any further than this. Is 446 divisible by 5?
No.
Not evenly, right? Because, so if we did that, 446 divided by 5, that's going to give me 89.2 tickets. Can I sell part of a ticket? No. So the answer is no. Okay, so with that being said, you need to be able to justify and explain your answers. You guys are missing some points on stuff because we're not getting the explain part down. Okay? All right, so that's it for today. That took a little while, but we got there. We're wild.